Did. Hello everybody, this is Dinsdale1978 coming to you once again from TeamMP.net, the playground for parent gamers. But I'm not here to talk about the gameplay you're watching. I'm here to talk about something else that I feel needs to be addressed. And it's the maturity of gamers. I've talked about it before, and I guess I didn't have quite the period to put at the end of the sentence. But recently I read an article about some idiots on Reddit harassing one of the BioWare's writers, Jennifer Hepler, because they claimed that she was ruining the series of Mass Effect by making Shepard have the ability to be gay, and also with Dragon Age and things of that nature, where there was some homophobic problems there for them. And I just don't understand that. And maybe it's an age difference. Maybe it's the way gamers are now that we've gathered this new breed of immature idiot. Especially, I don't want to pigeonhole per se, but in FPS games there seem to be a lot more of that than say something like Skyrim. Not to say there isn't people, or there aren't people, I should say, in Skyrim playing games like that who have similar feelings, but it seems that there's this arrogance about other people wanting to spout off their homophobic rants to other people, and you know, I won't play a game that has a girl as a character. It's just wrong. And if you remember back when we were growing up, we played whatever game came out. It didn't matter if it was a paper boy, an Italian plumber. It was a soldier in a suit of space armor. Turned out to be a woman at the end, and you didn't care. There was a little twist, but you didn't care. Her name was Samus Aran. But come on, if you don't remember that, you're too young. You don't get it. And you've been bred into this culture of shoot-em-ups where it was about as much testosterone as you can pour into the multiplayer game and call somebody a name and call them trash and treat them pretty bad. And that's not what we should be doing as gamers. Gamers should be an inclusive place. You know, when we get together, we should be welcoming other people, and we should be saying good game after we have a game, even if the other person's doing something cheap. And I know I do it too. But I'll be the first one. If they treat me with respect, I treat them with respect. I don't usually go out and target people right off of a lobby. I never try to do that. I don't want to start something. But if they're going to start something, I'm going to start up too. And I know that's probably just as immature. But I don't usually go down those routes. I keep it clean for the most part. I keep it about what I can say about their gameplay, about what I can say about how they're acting. And there's way too much racial, homophobic, and just plain, there's a lot of misogyny too, don't get me wrong. I've talked about that before, about the plight of female gamers, and again, it's still there. It's going on, and it's sad. So let me give you some background to me and why I feel this way. Why some people may call me a bit too liberal. I consider myself a moderate. I'm in the middle. I have things that I think are kind of conservative about what I view, and there's a lot of things I think are very liberal. And I grew up in a very small town in the middle of Pennsylvania. And, you know, this was like a one-horse town at best, on a good day. And, you know, there weren't a lot of other ethnicities around me. It was a very white neighborhood. So when I got out of there, I went to college, I got introduced to a whole new world. It was this, I had transitioned to a slightly larger city than when I grew up, but it wasn't a city as most people would see a city, a very large place. And now I live in a major metropolitan area. I live in Pittsburgh. Some people may not call it a major city, but it's pretty cool. It's got, you know, I work at one of the major universities. And I see a lot of people. I've met a lot of new cultures, new religions, new you know, everything. I've seen almost anything you can think of at this point. I've talked to people from all over the world, and my horizons have broadened. But growing up, I was in a very small bubble about what I understood and what I could gather. And not only that, but I was that kid in high school and growing up who was kind of the nerdy outcast geek. Now, granted, I played soccer. I had some athletic tendencies. No, don't get started on hating on soccer as an American, whatever. I was pretty good at sports, but they weren't the sports that were popular. So again, I was kind of on the outside a little bit now. And I was not only that, but I was kind of awkward looking. Not that I'm not now, but I was really awkward looking as that transitional stage as kids go through. And I was also into the arts. I wanted to be a painter or do comic book illustration. I liked heavy metal, where everybody else was kind of into more of the poppier stuff, or country, especially country was very popular there. And I was into very strange things, but also at the same time, I got into later in high school, I was always playing video games, always playing, role-playing games, things like that. I love that stuff. I love sci-fi, I love fantasy. I was always reading fantasy novels, but I also was reading other kinds of literature. At the same time, I was listening to music, alternative music, that most people didn't want to listen to. One of my favorite artists of all time is Tori Amos. And I know, if you don't know who that is, go look it up, go look at YouTube, you'll find a video. It's not something that's popular for somebody in that area. And it's also not popular for somebody who is a male in that area. You're looked at as gay. And I got that a lot. Now, I had a lot of good friends. I'm not going to say that my friends in high school were terrible. I had a lot of good friends and a lot of people I respect, and I still would talk to. But there was always that kind of... The girls didn't know how to deal with me because I wasn't the football hero. But I also was kind of awkward. I was a little different than everybody else. I'm reading, Alice Walker, listening to Tori Amos, and playing soccer, and long hair. I was like one of the only few kids in my class who had hair longer than a buzz cut or a bowl cut. I had long hair down the middle of my back, like epic fantasy metal hair, as I called it. And I rolled with those punches. I was called gay. I was called everything you can think of to try and bully me down, and it worked at some times. But I kept my head up because I knew I'm going to get out of here someday. I'm going to do something different. I always had games. And my father was a gamer as well. He introduced me to video games. Now, he came from an older mindset, granted. But I knew where I stood with him. I knew where I stood with video games. And I knew that if I had other people who played video games with me, some of my closer friends, they understood where I was coming from. And they would accept me. And they always did. And it kind of kept going as I went on in life. But if I knew that if I found people who played those same games, we had a commonality that we could look past wherever else we came from. We could look past being a different race. We could look past being from a different area or have a different religion or anything else because we played games and that's what we shared. And we shouldn't be hating on each other for that. And I'm tired of seeing all this animosity, all this hatred going on. And I really hate it when I'm sitting in a lobby and I hear people throwing out the N-word. And I hate to say that. I don't want to be that, I hate when they say nigger. I'm going to say it because that's the real word. N-word is just escaping the reality. And there's no reason for a bunch of white kids to be calling each other that. There's no reason for black kids to be calling each other that. There's no reason for anybody to be calling that in a Call of Duty lobby, a Battlefield lobby, wherever you're at. Because it's not worth anything. It doesn't make you bigger. It doesn't make you better. And on a side note, calling out somebody to fight you because of things they've said in life over the internet at a event called PAX East doesn't make you a bigger man. It doesn't prove anything as a morality victory, this ethical victory over him. And we all know, if you follow YouTube, who I'm talking about. But the reality there is you need to be the bigger man and stand up to him for beating him up at a place called PAX, which I know stands for Penny Arcade Expo, but it really has its history in PAX being peace, because that's where gamers go to feel awkward together and have that sense of community. And you're going there to be the center of attention and show how big of a man you are, because you didn't get enough of it when you were a surfer or whatever you were when you were growing up. It's pretty lame, son. Be able to punch somebody in the face doesn't make you better. It doesn't make you stronger. It makes you a bully. Now, if you're going to defend yourself when somebody attacks you physically, that's one thing. But you're picking a fight if you say you're going to beat them up in some sort of MMA match or boxing match, whatever it is. This isn't the 19th century where you go put up your dukes or whatever out in the alleyway. You can move past that now. And you can show your children, stand up to him and say, listen, you're calling my kids names? Frankly, I don't know why you haven't gone to the authorities for defamation of character and, saying you're going to rape your young daughter. You go get the authorities on him. You don't say you're going to beat him up for more views on YouTube. Lame, son. Lame. So here we go, back to the real point. Why do we have to be so homophobic? Why do we have to be misogynistic and so racist when we game together? There's no point in it. It doesn't help us at all, and it's not going to bring us anything good. So if you want a game, create that community and have fun. Every time I got off the field in soccer, we had to shake the other team's hand. We'd say good game. And I meant it. Because I played to win, but I played to have fun, and I played to respect the other team. Because not doing so just makes you a really sore loser and brings you down as a person. It's the same thing in video games. If you go out there to make other people mad and troll them, and just do stuff to aggravate somebody else for no other reason but the sheer pleasure you get out of it, you have a problem. I play games to have fun with my friends, to feel good about my own, enjoyment of a game, and to experience other people in a lobby. Now, sometimes it's horrible, but most of the time it's alright. That's what it should be all about. But there's too much rage, too much hate. Let's get over that. Let's just play the game.